Many new carriers watching ATI Auto Business are asking, what do we need to know when booking loads and cars and delivering to dealerships? Whether you're an OEM, dealership, or broker, auction, or tech company, please chime in, say hello, make new friends, and network with the best as we cover this topic here today on ATI Auto Business. What's up, ecosystem? Welcome back to ATI Auto Business Thursdays, Industry Logistics, where everyone learns more about the automotive industry. I'm just going to bring in Sue. Gosh, do you find it harder? Like every Thursday, it is up to the second when we're ready to go, and it's hard. This is hard to do, like 3 to 4 times a month.
Yeah.
And it's not because there's not a lot to talk about. It's just, man, everybody, I feel like everybody's lives are we're so freaking busy.
Yes, I agree.
It's crazy. And yet everyone's going to tune in for the debate tonight. So this is something we all share in common. I mean, we don't share in common any belief systems, and nobody's mind will be changed tonight. All right, there we got that out of the way. They even updated Zoom, so I may hit some wrong buttons, like that's new. Keys to hauling cars for dealerships. There is so much talk from dealers and tech companies and brokers and carriers about hauling for dealers that we're going to talk about it again because we have some advice. Right? And I think I've never driven a truck and delivered a car. I know that loses half the people right there because I'm just sitting at a desk. But I have spent so much time on the phone with dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I've delivered.
Yeah.
It is way more complicated than you expect.
Well, it's
right.
I don't know if it's complicated. They just don't want to answer the phone.
But it's very specific. If you don't do what they want you to do, and they didn't tell you half of what they expect, man, it's not good.
Like there's certain places, like especially in Chicago, when you're delivering, that you cannot deliver in certain places. You get a ticket, you get hauled off like immediately. And most of those dealerships will say, do not park here, come only during these times, that kind of thing. And I think it's kind of the same way up in New York and stuff like that.
Well, and I think that, that it's almost like rings of things you got to do right. Because yes, as you get more like high dense city.
Yeah.
It's even more specific.
Yeah, most of the time you're parked out in the street in the middle of the highway.
Right.
Pittsburgh is one of those places. Yeah.
In Houston?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Certain places, yeah.
Yeah. So it is pretty wild stuff. We'll be talking about that. There's another shot of a dealership. Okay. Let's see. Let's do that.
Dispatch, how may I help you?
Oh, good. Janice is taking calls in the background. I love that. 2 weeks ago, you got your MC. Now what? We talked about wait times for brokers. This is a really big deal. If you're new, and there seems to be a lot of new carriers.
There is a plethora of new carriers.
I don't think people want to hear that, but that's the way it is.
And that is the way it is, and the brokers making it harder to get these guys signed up means their cars are going to be sitting longer.
And I think that this trend will continue.
I do.
There will be more and more new carriers throughout time.
Yep. Well, it's a regular thing. I've noticed it happens during certain times of the year. I don't know if anybody else.
Seasonal.
Yeah, it's seasonal. Like this is the time when everybody starts signing up when I get all the newbies. That and usually around the end of the year.
Well, that's pretty interesting. All right, so we'll keep an eye on that. And that's where ATI, if you're a new carrier and you're looking for advice, a consistent channel that regularly, anyways, all right, Jay, good promo. All right, what's next? I actually have a bunch of news before we bring in, so you have a Dani?
Dani is a new dispatcher that I'm training.
Okay.
And so we're going to bring her on so we can talk about the things that we talk about every
Yeah.
single day. And she's going to ask some questions too, because she's still like, we're in the first week of training. And so that's what we'll be doing. She'll be asking questions that probably questions other people want to ask and didn't think about asking, that kind of thing, because she's
Cool.
new.
Okay, cool. And thank you, live chat. Folks saying hello. James is kind of a new regular viewer here.
Cool.
And James was talking about, YouTube notifications and stuff. So if you don't get notified, we're here almost every Thursday. And here's the deal. Here's what you want to do. You got to tell them, Jay. They can't. You can't assume. I probably need to talk about this more often. What you want to do is go to YouTube and go to ATI Auto Business. This is just add it to your default startup list, because this is where everything's at. This is where videos will be recommended to you. Latest shorts, Tuesday show lineup, Thursday show lineup, and the links are always here in the days before the show. So this is where you go on ATI Auto Business on YouTube. So, and I'm glad. I like that Dan is here, because this is an arena of new and old information.
Right.
Good one, Jay. All right, so Tuesday night show. I told you I had RPM on the show.
Yeah.
And they were at Canada's Used Car Week. So those are two things I think very few people know much about. I mean, we know the name RPM.
Right.
And I talk like I remember things. I remember when I heard of RPM, because that's when I booked a load with them. Did I know anything else? No.
No.
I didn't know anything else. This is a gigantic company.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's why it's so hard to get a hold of people. Well, here's what's cool. Through this show, I said it. Isn't that the funny thing?
I was going to mention something.
The truth is such a funny thing. I think that's why so many people aren't into ATI, because it's just straight up info. There's no Kool-Aid splashing. You didn't win a bear.
I will
and
mention,
there's no cat videos. Yeah.
For RPM, they now have a new call-in, and I actually could get a hold of somebody.
Awesome.
But that did not help me with the whole, was it truck stop that we're doing?
Yes.
Truck stop thing with getting my driver re-signed back up.
Yeah, but isn't that a truck stop thing?
Yeah, well, and I'm having a problem with them, because I sent them what they asked for. The insurance company sent them what they asked for. I've sent them repeated emails and no response. Dead silence, no emails back. So
I smell a video.
It's kind of hard to get signed up if nobody responds.
All right, so is it your testimony that after I posted that short video of RMIS truck stop that they contacted you?
Yes, absolutely. And they were great. They got us signed up right away. It was fantastic.
Camera one, did you hear that? Because of an ATI short video. How soon after the video did they contact you?
I think they contacted me like the same day or the same night.
What is this, 60 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So that's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
They were fantastic. They had a lady call me and everything.
And it's not like a mean video. They didn't contact me though. I want to have them on the show.
I know you do. I'm sending them an email.
That one's so hard to get. Oh man, that one takes years. It's okay. We'll be here.
Question.
Yeah.
Did you guys talk about the load port on Tuesday night?
So I didn't go there because I wanted to get to know them. What we did was Tuesday is, so Andrew Kamita, Director of Remarketing. Now, remarketing is, and this is another thing I remember, man, I had no idea what remarketing was.
Yeah.
No one ever tells you this stuff.
Yeah, tell me, because what I think it is probably different than what it is.
Remarketing is a weird thing. Okay. Remarketing is... remarketing people, because people work in remarketing. And what they do is they help usher a vehicle through the stages, which is repo, auction, reconditioning, right? Getting it back up to 100% or as close as possible,
Right.
so that that thing has as much value in it. When I say that thing, I mean older car,
Right.
right?
Right.
You're not going to remarket a car that was released last year. Well, you could. I mean, it could happen. This gets into lease returns, and
Yes.
actually, automakers will send new cars to rental car companies that then do need to be remarketed, reconditioned, to be brought back, remarketed. The purpose of remarketing is to put as much value back into that vehicle before someone else buys it. That's what remarketing is. So, Andrew, in his role at RPM, is he works with remarketing companies to do their transportation, because RPM is a logistics company. RPM does transportation and freight, auto transport and freight, and works in North America, Europe, Canada, and Mexico. And I learned these things from doing that show. You know, that's how I learned. I was thinking about that yesterday. Most of what I've learned, you can watch live. Like, I'm learning too. That's the whole point. I'm not, as everybody knows, I'm not some genius. This isn't top secret. There's just a lot to learn.
So let me ask you a question so I can understand that. So he works with remarketing companies to get their cars to the auction or for sale or to move, basically.
He doesn't do remarketing.
Right.
He works with remarketing companies. Yeah.
Okay.
And when you think about it, that's so many companies. This is a statistic I think he said on the show. A remarketed vehicle moves at least twice.
Okay.
Oh, that's good, right?
Like the original, you mean like from one place to another place?
So you got repo to auction.
Okay.
And then auction to buyer.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. Mm-hmm. And so, well, shoot, that's a lot. Hey, that's a lot of moves. And when you think of the different types of vehicle moves, POV, privately owned vehicles.
Right.
Auction, dealer, OEM, repo, port. Well, rail is kind of OEM, but you go through those different types of locations. And this is cool because this is dispatching fundamentals. As a dispatcher, you start to learn there's different locations. You don't know why.
Right. Yep, that's one of the things I explain here.
Nobody tells you why. You just learn that there are different locations. It could be business to business, relocation. And as you identify, if you're a big company, you realize, somebody said to me recently, man, POV is a headache, right? And think about it. Listen, somebody's got to do it. Well, it's not a headache for everybody. Right. But if you think about it, if you're the broker for a POV move, you got to pretty please and hours on the phone and all this stuff for one transaction.
Yep.
But if you work with remarketing companies, that could be 100 cars a month. And you've got one point of contact that works in a professional setting.
Right.
I'm just saying it. Again, this is ATI. So anyways, it was a good show. I learned a lot. I got to know more about RPM. And then I plan to really hit them with the load board stuff later.
Okay.
If they come back. We'll see. No, it was good. I appreciated the conversation. It was a good show. Ecosystems neutral zone. Show me the truck. Here's a funny.
Oh my God.
You got the carrier doing all the work, and sitting on the bucket's a dispatcher. Shipper's got his hands in his pocket. Carrier manager's looking over the shoulder of the loader, looking at the tracking team. You got the receiver and the broker. Broker's on the phone. Safety, could be having a sandwich, and then the FMCSA is just kind of standing around. That's awesome.
So is this him digging his own grave?
What is it?
Is that him digging his own grave? Is that what it's
right? That's right. He's going to get in there and crawl in the hole and die.
Oh, wow.
Oh, shoot. And this is a freight, because, some of those, the receiver and the loader, that's freight stuff. But, you get the point. I thought this was pretty funny. And freight caviar, I don't know much about freight caviar, but they're kind of a thing.
Yeah. Don't know.
They probably aren't going to plug ATI, but why not?
Are they freight or cars?
Oh, freight. 90% of trucking is in freight.
Yeah.
Which means Auto Transport's the last dog at the bowl.
Gotcha.
But this is that game. You know that little fishing game we all used to play?
Yep.
Oh, that's so cute. It's true though. It's true.
That's
that is your load board.
As it goes around in a circle.
Yeah, here's your load board. Here, fishy. It feels like that. It does feel like fishing. Okay, let's talk about CDK. Gosh, it's already 12:15. Okay, so did you hear that Black Suit is the name of the cybercrime gang? That's what they're saying. Russian, Eastern European hackers. They're into this royal ransomware. In fact, ransomware as a service, I suppose, is that. I know, this is a whole... Dude, this is way big. This isn't just a dude playing war games. This is an industry. And I'm so glad that we're going to connect all the cars and appliances to the internet. That's going to be amazing. You said, okay, well, all right, fine, CDK, they can't sell cars. What do I care? Well, what if they can't process payments? Didn't you have a payment processing problem?
Yeah, there's one of the girls from a dealership couldn't pay the driver because of this. His account was shut down.
So when did it end up happening? Because I know a lot of dealers were trying to, they're trying to do the right thing. They didn't know what to do.
I think I sent it to you last week, so sometime.
Did he get paid?
I'm not sure. She didn't update me yet.
We don't
whether
know.
He got paid
well,
yet or not.
And again, thanks live chat. Got a question? Got a comment? Please put it in the CDK is a ass kicker, having to pull parts from wholesale cars to build production cars. Some dealers won't use paper billing. Oy vey. James, do you have a checklist on everything I need to start a dispatching service? Ooh, I have spreadsheets. Oh, Elena's driver didn't get paid yet. Thanks, Elena.
Okay.
And Reggie is here. Hey, Reggie, what's going on?
Hey, Louise.
Gary's here. Oh, Charles is here.
Arthur,
That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. DDD is in the house. That's great.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, speaking of industry, because I want to dive into this. I got somewhere to go. Means I'm going somewhere. Okay, Black Suit is the gang. Okay? Can't process payments. Now, scammers targeted dealerships pretending to be CDK. Okay, tell me that's not part of the thing. Because how would, within days of a major shutdown, the little scammers know to pretend to be CDK?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an industry. You got your pickpocket, you got your fire breathers, then you got some, takedown. I mean, this is a whole thing.
It's just crazy.
Offering to be representatives of CDK. We're here to help. And here's an example. This is a fake. It looks just like the real thing.
Wow.
Click here and crawl in the hole.
Access.
Yeah, that's it, buddy. Go ahead and click here. This is the end right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
True.
That's crazy. So, what does that have to do with me, Jay? I'm busy. Well, 2 luxury cars worth $500K were stolen after a thief hacked into a luxury car carrier. Say what? This is 2.5 weeks ago. I did a short about this in Hollywood, Florida. 2 cars were stolen from this big broker.
Wow.
Somebody hacked the dispatch. They called the driver, said, hey, yo, turn the truck around. You're not delivering to Hollywood. You're going to Miami on Sunday. I'll see you there. Driver said, okay. Guy seemed like he had all the VIN numbers and everything. Driver delivered. And the guy actually sent a message to the owner of the company. Thanks for the Maybach, dog. Criminal hacked into the driver's portal, knew what the vehicles were being transported, knew what was going on, reached out to the driver acting like he knew he was the receiver, gave him the info. Yeah, man. And here's the deal. We were talking about fraud and types of hacks.
Wow.
This is happening all the time. But who wants to broadcast that? I know several big companies that have already had this happen to them, and they ain't gonna say nothing.
No, they don't want their customers
No,
to know what's
I
going on.
applaud this guy for letting this be a news story, man.
Wow.
Yeah, this has got to get out.
I saw one the other day, and it was a Rolls Royce that did the exact same thing too.
So I'm going to go a bit further. So I made the short. People were like, what? And then Zeb says, well, we need to eliminate illegal dispatch services.
Not dispatch people that's doing this.
And that's what I said. And then I saw this. The heck is this? You sent me this.
Yes.
What?
Okay, so what this is like where you're supposedly going to be able to see all load boards at once
Okay.
on one page.
I don't use my props anymore, but red flag. What?
Just the
Okay,
name.
wait a minute. I'm just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
But how this is pretty scammy looking. It could be fine, but I'm telling you, with what's going on today, this looks really scammy.
Well, I had another one contact me too, but I don't think that's the name of the company that's doing the exact same thing.
With all the problems, listen, they're talking about, look at who are you dealing with, reports of fraud, activity. We just talked about, I don't have the, you got to be careful what email, what company. This doesn't look good, man. I wouldn't do this. Dispatch okay? I'm just saying.
Trying to find this other one.
And just hobnobbing, just front, this is a Anyways, all right. Keep it to your J's. Jay, it's really all about these bad actors. And here's the thing is, you and I are trying. Isn't the point of dispatching to help the carrier?
Yes. And so that they can keep driving and make money instead of dealing with all this stupid shit.
Right. So, if a scammer jumps in and then is a dispatcher, well, there's broker scammers, driver scammers, carrier scammers, dealer scammers, Wall Street scammers. I mean, I don't understand the vendetta on dispatching. It's crazy.
I don't think they understand sometimes the difference. That's what I think it is.
It's so weird.
Because the dispatcher always gets blamed for everything, and it has nothing necessarily to do with it.
It seems like it's never going to stop. It's just so strange to me. And I don't dispatch, so I have no dog in this fight. I just know that dispatchers are custodians that mop the floors for the carriers. Mm-hmm. And you want to kick the custodian out of the school? Why? Okay. He doesn't have your money, man. He's broke. He's eating mac and cheese. That's 2 days left over. I know. I was a dispatcher. All right. This guy's been named as FMCSA's new acting leader. Currently heads DOT's AI effort. Vin White. Know it. Live it. Appointed by Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. So, Pete Buttigieg is Transportation Secretary. Vin White is the new acting leader of the FMCSA. There'll be a quiz at the end. Oh, yeah, this was what I was going to say. Lookalike domain attacks. Yeah, I mean, you got to check the domain of the email that gets sent to you. If there's a hyphen in the wrong place, a colon, or, a string of characters that just looks crazy. We're almost done with the news, and we'll bring in Dani. We will talk about hauling cars for dealerships here in a minute. This is it, man. Central Dispatch is coming out with the news. This will be an August to remember. In August, Central Dispatch is enhancing end-to-end transportation solution for both shippers and carriers. Private marketplace, API integrations, all new app for carriers. Let's see, highlights, APIs for third-party tools to integrate with Central Dispatch. The app will include inspection capabilities for both private and public marketplaces. Boom! Tell me that's not gigantic news. That
transparency in the vehicle condition.
Shippers will be able to access documentation and e-BOL for inspections completed in the app. This is the news. We have been talking about this. This is going to be a make or break deal. You know, one of the things I've been saying, and I don't understand it, I know we're too information based. On LinkedIn, I see tech company after tech company posting similar images. We can ship your car. We've got the tech. I can't tell the difference. There's like 10 companies that I can't tell the difference. And if I can't tell the difference, I mean shippers can't tell the difference. And if Central Dispatch is able to rein it all back in, it won't matter anymore. Seamless connections to third parties, shippers and carriers, instant access to modern user interface, redesigned dispatch. Look at this. Shippers now have visibility through the delivery. Carriers enjoy. I try to remove some of the marketing words and just get into, if they are updating the dashboard, that's a good thing. Because it's been a pretty simple bucket system, right? I don't know if it's still that way or not. I don't dispatch. Aaron, I reached out to Aaron. They're updating Carried Away, and they'll get back to us in Q3 or Q4.
Okay.
CarMax info. This is why you need a dispatcher. How does the driver keep track of all this?
Yeah.
Because what if I don't have a CarMax load right now? Am I really?
Gotta remember it for the next time?
Yeah. Okay, so only during hours of operation, no night drops. I think that's maybe point number 1.
Yeah, and I think that's always been that way.
Okay, so no night drops for CarMax. Do not leave it. CarMax employee first and last name must be signed on the BOL. No wouldn't sign stuff. And I know that's a pain too. And we're starting to move into the dealership conversation because you have the option, what? No, decline signature?
Yeah, you can also put on there where it's STI, or you can also do with Super Dispatch, you can send it to them to sign for later, but that's not going to be allowed with this either. So
right, and security can't sign.
No.
This is another thing you learn the hard way. Security guards, they may as well work at the bank.
Yes.
They don't know anything about your car, you, or where you're delivering. They don't know, and they don't care.
They do
there
not
we go.
care.
They don't.
And I don't know if most people realize this, but most of the security guards after a certain time at Mannheim's don't even work for Mannheim.
Yeah.
They work for a security company.
And so if you know them, if they recognize you, and if they do you a favor,
right,
that is the exception.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a security guard somewhere going, oh, thank God he said it. Oh. It's true.
Leave us alone.
Yeah. Load listing logo update. This is because they acquired Guardian Auto Transport. And I like insight into what load numbers mean, right? So if the load starts with a 3 or are 8 digits, call Chicago. Again, is the driver digging through he's pulled over again, digging through his dispatches. Oh, let's see. It starts with a 3. He's like doing Sudoku to figure out which load this is.
All right. Well, I hope they put that on Central too, because most people aren't going to know that either.
Well, no. Okay, I'm speculating. But this is an email. We sent the email once. Everybody should have it.
And honestly, I tried to get a load from them the other day, and it had the 224 number listed. So I texted them.
Oh, good.
For Guardian.
And the only reason I said that is it's really hard for everybody to keep up with this stuff. I'll bet it's hard just for their office to keep up with.
Right.
All right. Wholesale Express, 6 months on Central.
Yep.
No external load board.
No.
Has that changed?
No.
It didn't
They
used
need
to be
one.
less than 6?
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just recently 10 ratings, and now it's back up to, now it was 6 months, so many ratings. Then they changed it because Muzi got one of his drivers that was new with 10 ratings signed up. Now we're back up to 6 months on Central. And I'm sure there's it used to be like a 20 rating system on there. I don't know if it still is. They just said 6 months, so.
Oh, okay, wait a minute, you're right. Okay, so do it has number of positive ratings kind of gone away in favor of having to wait for time with your DOT, or are they both still there?
I can hardly hear you. Say that again.
Okay.
Yeah. You know how number of positive ratings has always been a thing.
Yes.
How many? Okay.
Yes.
Is that still a thing? Number of positive ratings to get a
Yes.
load?
Yes.
It is.
Now, so one of the
Yeah.
brokers I wanted to talk about was JS Transport.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
I love them. I mean, I've never had problems. All the loads are always good. They always pay well. And they have a 15 rating rule on anybody new. But Russ did me a solid favor and got one of my drivers in without having that. So that was awesome.
Well, that's talking about relationships, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
But that's where I think a lot of people feel like, and I think there's some truth to it, as things become more digital based, you're not talking to people.
Right. Right. I agree. Which having that relationship will not work as well if you can't talk to somebody, like when that load came up the other day for JS, I texted Russ right away and I told him who it was, and he's like, we usually require 15. I think I only had 10. And he's like, but I'll do it for you. And so, and he said, you've never done me wrong, because every driver you send my way has been a good driver. And like I told him, we only work with the best. That if they don't work out, they don't work out. We move on to another driver. So it does help. Relationships help in this industry. There's no doubt about that.
When I was dispatching, there were times if that load was so good that I was changing the DEFCON, I would call whoever it is that I knew at that company. Yeah.
Right.
Like immediately.
Right.
And then text, and then
Yep.
email, and and I got a lot of good loads.
Yeah.
Because I knew exactly who to talk to.
Yep.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. And another reason why a dispatcher, a driver, even if a driver pays for those instant notifications, can't
doesn't
do
mean
that.
they're going to get them. Yeah, it doesn't mean you're going to get the load.
You're pulling a car. You may not even have your phone on you.
Right.
Yeah. So, anyways, pesky dispatchers, keeping me loaded. Fake damage codes. What? Don't just put in numbers just to fill in a cell?
Yeah.
That's kind of... Do people do that?
Maybe. I don't know. They sent that out, so.
Huh. Okay. So don't just put in random numbers.
Right.
Okay. Dang. That's been working so far. Your request was declined.
Yep.
Was this wholesale?
No, this was turn time.
Oh, man.
They require 6 months too.
So there's more and more new carriers, and minimum months of required DOT authority are going up. Wow, it's almost like the housing race. Oh, this is terrible. This is bad news. Let's see. There was that hot shipping route stuff. Okay, I think it's time to go into today's topic. It's 12:35.
Okay.
Should we bring in Dani for this?
Yeah, bring in Dani.
All right, let's bring her in. And as we do that, in getting prepared for the show, I took a look at who asked about
dispatching training. There was a gentleman on here earlier.
Yeah. Somebody was talking about
James for USA is what it says.
Okay, James, yeah, because James has reached out to me. Yeah, okay. Asking about checklists. Okay, James, I'll send you a copy of this. Remind me to send you a copy of this, James. I send this to people and they ask, or did I already send this to you, James? Maybe. Anyways, I think I did. But I will send it. And this is the dispatcher training course spreadsheet that was built for the videos. And as we get to in video 2 of 3, here is the dealership. And these are just the basics that I talked about at the time. Yeah, look up the dealership. Look at it. Would you look at it? Just know what it looks like, right? Know what it looks like before your driver gets there. Look at it. Okay. Then, who can he talk to? Don't send a driver to a dealership without knowing anybody there. I mean, you can if you can't get a hold of it. Try.
Yeah. And
at least get their hours of operation.
That they will not answer the phone.
Yeah.
So.
Get the address, give the hours of operation, give the VIN numbers. Man, that VIN number is gospel at the dealership. Any other release stuff, and ask if this thing is ready to go if you can get a hold of anybody. Now, those are my 2 cents. Why don't you give a little bit of your 2 cents before we bring in Dani?
So when we're doing verifications for pickups, which we're going to talk about dealerships, if it's a new car, you ask for the new car sales manager if you don't have a name, and almost, I would say 90% of the time you don't have a customer's name, or I mean a person's name at the dealership. So you always start there. If it's a used car, you do the used car. If it's a lease return, ask for the lease return manager, because those are 3 different people. Once you finally get a hold of that person and you verify, you make sure the VIN is correct. You make sure the address where you're picking up is correct. You ask them if there's certain places to park on the dealership, because you don't want to get your driver stuck. A lot of times, if it's a tricky situation, they immediately tell me, park around the back or park in the middle of the street. We'll bring the car out to you, call when you get there, that kind of thing. If there's a release, make sure that your driver has the release. If they want it printed, I tell the driver to make sure it's printed before you get there. Most of the time, they'll just look at their phone, though. And on Super Dispatch, you can put all the releases on there. So all they have to do is just pull it up and hand it to them. Let's see, what else? Get their hours that you can pick up. Now, I always do what Jay says. I'll go look up the dealership and look up what their hours are. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because a lot of times they're going to say, well, you can only pick up till 4. I had this happen yesterday. And I said, so you close at 4? Well, no, I leave at 4, but the dealership stays open till 8. So I said, is there somebody else that we can leave the keys with? Because my driver's going to be there after 4. And he said, I'll leave them with reception. And I asked for the receptionist's name, so I had that information as well. So now that works sometimes. It does not work all of the times. Sometimes they say you can only pick up when that guy is there, and that is it. So just remember that part of it. If that comes across, then still be nice, because sometimes that's just the way it goes. What else? Now that's all for pickup. Delivery is a little bit different. I always have the driver call delivery, find out where they need to park, who they need to speak to. Most of the time we do have a name on delivery. If we don't, I'll ask, or it's the actual dealership that gave us the load. So we already know who it is. And then I usually have them call because they need to know where to park. They need to make sure if their money is ready. Now, if they're running tight on time, I will call and get all that information for them as to what time they can drop, if they can do a night drop, if they can do a night drop, how they go about doing the night drop. There's usually specifics, and you always want to ask that information, because you don't want to I've had people just leave a car. That's not the way you do it. You have to get a person's name, because you want to put that person's name on your bill of lading at delivery, so you can bill that out. Also, or you can do the thing where you email it to them and then they send it the next day. I've never really had any problems. Most of my guys are pretty good. They know what to do and how to take pictures and all that good stuff. Most of the time, they will have you drop the keys in the service station box and put the paperwork inside there. If you do not have paperwork, most of our guys use EBOLs. I'll tell them that and I'll get an email. And that's about it for that part of it.
All right, so good. So I was taking notes, and so here's a question. How do you get the email address to send the EBOL? How do you go about that?
Well, if you've got a person's name on delivery and you're calling to do a night drop, first thing I do is I get all that information. If they okay it, that's the person's name. Most of the time, they don't even ask for the bill of lading. You just get their name and you send it to them when it's done. So that's about it.
And this is where, so what I'll do is, to see some of these questions that I might ask, I try to think before that, and I'll say, if I can get somebody on the phone, I'll say, oh, okay, so I need to talk to Bob, sales manager.
Right.
Can I get Bob's email address for the bill of lading, or is there a number where I can text Bob to confirm, that. So
Right.
I'll do some of those things.
Right.
Because once you get off the phone with that receptionist, yeah, you may never talk to her again.
No, you
In
definitely
fact,
probably won't hear
she
from
probably
Bob.
sees your number and goes, "We already talked."
Yeah.
So know what you want to say,
Yeah.
and be nice.
Yes.
Be super nice.
Yes.
Not
I
don't
mean,
be
honest to
not.
God, I will say sometimes the receptionists are bigger help than anybody there.
Oh, for sure.
So I
Seriously.
always get their name too.
And
They've actually verified cars for me, told me when to come,
that's right.
all that good stuff.
Okay, so here's one, and this is now you are thinking like a salesperson. Always get somebody's name.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you start the conversation? Because this is where I talk about phone freeze, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're the
So,
dispatcher. It's day 2. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We've already booked the car. You're going to call the dealership, and you're going to verify if it's ready for pickup.
mm-hmm.
First time caller goes, "Hi, I'm calling to make sure a car is ready for pickup."
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The receptionist is like, "Who? What?"
Yeah.
So you got to think you're talking to the receptionist. "Hi, I'm calling from." How do you?
So when I
how do you
call, I'll say
that?
the name of my company, but I will tell you when I call the receptionist, I almost always ask for the used car manager and the new car manager first and foremost. So if that like she'll usually leave me there, right? They never answer the phone. So you leave a voicemail. And so by the third voicemail, when they haven't answered, then I call back the receptionist and I say, "So and so, this is Sue with the SK Logistics again. I have left 3 messages with the new car manager. Is there anybody else that could possibly help me verify this car because my driver is on his way to go there, whatever." Usually she'll either figure it out, go talk to that guy, but by this point they can tell you're annoyed, and so they're willing to help you do anything to get you off the phone. So either she goes and finds out, or she gets me another person to talk to, and usually, inevitably, I get the answer I need, but not always. Sometimes I'm like, my driver's 15 minutes away, just go. You're going to beat me by the time I figure out if this car is good or not. Now, keep in mind, there are certain brokers that you don't have to worry about this stuff. You know that car is good. And if they don't answer, you're fine usually. Now, there are certain brokers that if you don't get an answer, do not send your driver there in any way, shape, or form, because it's probably not a good thing. So those are things you just learn over time, which brokers you can trust and which brokers you can't. I mean, most people have been doing this can figure out which ones I'm talking about. So always verify as much as you can. If you get to a point where your driver's going to beat you there, let them go, because sometimes you just don't have a choice. Look up the hours, though, online is what I always do. Verify the address with your address that you have on your paperwork, because sometimes, dealerships change their address and you just don't know it.
So, all right, good. I like that because we're at next level stuff here. And this is where, on the broker side, I just want to talk about this for a second, is that, so brokers will post loads that are picking up or delivering at a dealership.
Right.
Dealers will also be the ones that posted that load. So one of the things to learn is, was this posted by the dealer or was it posted by a broker?
Right.
If it's posted by the dealer, the percentage chance that this is all legit
Yep.
goes way up.
Yep.
That's the upside of a dealer posting their own loads.
Yep.
Yeah. And
That's true.
Legit, Jay, that's not a nice word. Don't use that. What I mean, though, is what? Yeah, what do I mean?
Keep in mind, too, though, a dealer may list that load, but it may not be picking up from them. Maybe going to them. So keep that in mind, too. I've had that happen and the car wasn't where they thought it was. Or somebody else picked it up and somebody in the office didn't tell him that he dispatched it to somebody else. So those you got to check still, too, just so you know.
Well, and it's a good point, because maybe everything's cool and it's in a different lot.
Right.
In the city. You're in the city.
Right.
You're in the right city, but you're
Right.
not at the right lot.
Right. Because a
And
lot
this
of
is
them
why
have
you need
outside lots.
And that's why
they
you
can't
need-
put them all in their lot.
They
So
can't fit them. That's why you have to talk to somebody. So right now, a dealer right now hearing this, hopefully there's a dealer somewhere on an island alone, thinking, okay, yeah, we probably need to communicate better with the driver, or it's all on our dispatch, or whatever it is. But you said it. Don't stop a driver from going to a dealership. If you booked it and you've never been able to talk to anybody, you're not going to stop him from going.
Only if I just don't know for sure.
Right.
I mean, if it's a certain broker, like I said.
Well, you hope you have a close enough relationship with your driver, and this is where having a relationship.
Yes, they have
with
to
your
trust
driver
you. Absolutely.
listen, hey, check this out. It's your last pickup. I've never talked to anybody there.
Yep.
Who's the broker? This is the conversation. Who's the broker? The broker is, what's it pay? That pays this. What's the dealership? What's the dealership look like? How's that address look? Yeah. Is it way out of the way? Well, what do you think? What should we do? And I'll say, let me call him one more time.
Yeah. Or I'll say, I know this broker, go for it.
Yeah.
And it happened yesterday. Danny was 20 minutes away, and I said, I know this broker. I'd find it very hard to believe it wasn't good. I just can't get him to answer my phone calls, and he went and picked it up. It was fine.
That's right. It usually works out.
Yeah.
If you have the dispatch, I mean, this is what I remember. If you have the dispatch, 4 out of 5 dentists say that you're going to be able to pick up that load.
Yeah, I'd say 90%.
Yeah.
There's the 10% of you just don't know. Sometimes stuff happens and they don't even know it.
But if you see that load still listed,
yeah, be worried.
Now,
yeah, you need to be worried.
Yeah, be worried. Be very worried. Yeah.
True.
That's why triple listed loads aren't worth it anyways.
No, but and here's the weird part though. I've had brokers, maybe dealers too, leave them on the board, gave them to us, but left them on the board until we picked up to make sure we picked up. So that gets a little hanky right there.
Well,
too.
they've been burned, and this is where everybody's getting burned so bad.
Yep.
It's all CYA. All right, let's do this. Let's bring in Dani.
Okay.
Let's do this. Let's bring her in right now. Is she ready to go?
Yep. I just told her you were going to let her in.
All right. I hit the button. Please do help me wish a warm welcome to first time on ATI. Her name is Dani.
Yep.
All right. She's
Can you hear us,
joining
Dani?
now. And thanks for jumping in live chat. Elena, it's a 50-50 chance with that company. But with JS, you don't have to worry. Yeah, so, you know.
Yep.
This is where I'm assuming brokers know. You would think, but maybe the way, that's why we've made fun of a lot of things like mix and all that stuff through the years, is that the way a lot of loads are posted, it seems like they don't know that everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's funny because that mix came, one of the questions Dani asked me, and it was a bunch of Metro loads, is what's mix? And I said, you got to go in, you got to be a part of Metro, you got to be able to go onto the load board to even look at them. But I'm going to tell you, most of the time when they put mix, they're huge vehicles.
Mix. It's funny that it's still used, but you know.
Well, and you know what's even better? This is even sadder. Do you know how many times I get texts from transporters saying, what are my loads listed on Central? I literally said, go press the vehicle button. It lists the cars. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that. How do you not know that? Right?
Wow. Are they new? Are these newer?
No, they weren't. And they said, learn something new every day.
Okay, so do they not know how Central works?
Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Now, it could have been maybe a new dispatcher, older company. Could be something like that.
Did they change the interface?
No. I mean, well, they did. From what we had before to, when we changed it last February, you have to click the vehicle button to see what the vehicles are if it's more than one vehicle.
It does. Well, that's normal, though. Well, now, they used to list a few, right?
Yeah.
Your make and model used to be row by row.
Right there,
is it not like that?
No, if it's multiples, you have to go click on the vehicle button most of the time.
Does it say
two mixed vehicles? Yeah, I'm looking right at my page right now.
Okay, it'll say 2 mixed vehicles?
2 mixed vehicles, then you hit vehicle info, and then it lists the vehicles.
Is there anything that says click here for vehicles?
No.
Okay, well, there's your...
I mean, it does. I mean, it says vehicle info, too. I mean, most people would know that's where you go to.
Well, this is why I talk about... It's funny what we assume people understand.
Yes, well, it's true. That's true.
Right.
And if you're new to this industry in any way, shape, or form, you wouldn't know.
There are going to be a lot of new people.
Yeah.
So, hey, Dani, can you see us and hear us okay?
I can see you and hear you fine.
All right, cool. All right,
Hey,
perfect.
Dani.
Hey, Dani, welcome to the show. So, what questions do you have? Where do you want to start?
So I want to start with, let's say the transporter gets there and they don't know like where to park or anything? Are they supposed to call ahead of time? What are they supposed to do in those types of situations?
So most of the time, if there's a certain place for them to park, they're going to tell us. Now, a lot of times they want an hour notice before they come in there anyways. So what I always have the driver do is call them ahead of time if they're requesting that. And then they'll usually tell them, hey, I want to go this certain place, park around this way because of this or something like that. Usually you have the driver give the hour notice. But like I said, like there's places in Chicago that immediately say, don't park on this street, don't come between this hours. And I put that all on their paperwork under super dispatch under info. And then I also remind them when I send over the paperwork or on my text when I list, okay, you're going to pick up this car first. Don't forget, don't park on this street. I give them little things to pay attention to so that they don't get a ticket or get their stuff taken if I'm told that information.
Has there ever been like any situations where they haven't called and they just showed up to a dealership and it's just kind of confusion? They don't know what to do, like especially with these newer drivers.
Yes, we do. I mean, that's something that happens almost regularly, especially if you're new, as to where to go. Now, most of the time, most dealerships like have sections. Like if you're at, say, what am I thinking of? Like a Nissan dealership, and it's also Nissan. Who runs in with Nissan? What am I trying to think of, Jay? Where it's a multi-place.
Yeah.
Toyota, Nissan, do they go together? But either way,
Probably.
but I'm saying like you would go to the Toyota building if you're picking up a
Right.
Toyota. You're going to go to the Nissan building if you're going to, and if it's a new car, you're always going to the used car or the new car manager if you're going, or I get the person's name you're going to ask for when you get in there. So if it's the receptionist, I'll say the keys are with the receptionist, ask for so and so, the hours are 9 to 7, that kind of thing.
So we should normally let our transporter know like who they're supposed to go in there and talk to
Yes.
upon arrival.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I'm going to jump in and say, and I like what I like about these questions too, because you have to know a certain amount before you call.
Yes.
It's almost like you only get so many questions.
True.
It's like a game show.
Yes, because they're wanting to get you off the phone. As soon as you get them
You
on,
can't
it's
ask
like,
10.
yeah, because
No.
I'm like, one more. Is this address correct? Because that's another thing. Sometimes, like I said, it's off by one number or something like that. Someone put it in wrong. Always verify your address. Always verify the last 6 of the VIN. And don't get me wrong, you're gonna have people when you call them, they're going, "Oh, I know which car that is." You don't need to give me the VIN. Always give them the VIN. Give them the last 6, whether they say that or not. It will make sure nothing bad happens when your driver gets there. Because I've had that happen to a new dispatcher and they said, well, it said it was there. And I said, yeah, but if you didn't verify that VIN, they thought you were talking about a totally different car. I had that happen yesterday. I was calling for Dani had a Ford Raptor. It was a brand new Ford Raptor pickup. And it was going to another dealership for them, for the dealership I'm picking up for, going to them. And I said, do you have this Raptor? And he's like, well, I have one that's going, one that's not. I said, it's going to the dealership that you guys own. And he goes, oh, that one's going. I said, is the VIN number this? And he's like, yes, okay, we're good to go. But he didn't want to give that to me because he wanted to just rush me off the phone.
and that's where talking like last 6, last 8,
Mhm.
when you use that kind of lingo. Hey,
Yeah.
I got the last 6, I got the last 8. I just want to double check it. Your chances are better than, okay, so I've got DZR10, skip all
Yep.
that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's almost like, it's like in the military, when they're talking and it's a war, it's bzz, 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 bzz,
Yep.
and so that's the rhythm you want to be in.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast paced. You want to keep them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to get them
Give
off the
them
phone.
give them your first name. Hey, this is Dani.
Yep.
I'm calling from I got a driver.
Yeah.
He's hauling cars. I got a car hauler named Bill. He's gonna pick up last 6. At your, and you're just really, and this is where scripts. Write your scripts.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right.
And I have a script that they all have too for each place they're going to call. And I will say, when I call dealerships, just so everybody knows, and they tell me what the new car manager, and I don't talk to them right then and there, I will not, I'll just say, this is Sue. I don't say what I'm with. I just say, I'm looking for this vehicle.
Yes. Yeah.
because then they think you're wanting to buy it. I know this is snaky, but they usually will call you back if you kind of talk like that, and then you can go into I'm
Oh
with
my
the
God.
estate.
My name is Sue. I'm looking at a Ford Ranger.
Yes,
Oh
yes,
no, they
The
will call
yes.
you.
last
Oh, they'll send
thing-
you videos and everything, thinking you're a consumer, which is actually really good to know. Let's just talk about that for a second. Is that in this business, that's what dealers are so busy doing, is
Selling
trying
cars.
to sell
Yep.
cars. That's why they're so hard to get a hold of.
Yeah, true.
Um,
And I wish there was somebody else we could talk to that would help us, but they don't have that usually. Unless it's a lease return guy, then you can talk to
oh,
them.
they're all. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean that dealership is all about sales, not
Yep.
about logistics.
Letting people pick
And,
up their
and I
cars.
just
Yeah.
want to say this: when I say script, so there could be somebody. I mean literally the words you say when you pick up the phone.
Yeah, I have a script
Yeah.
for every place. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And it's very helpful to see that on paper and even write it out.
Yeah.
And then just hey, this is blank calling blank, and then this is what most people on the phone doing sales are doing.
Now, is there any like times where they would get paid as soon as they pick up the vehicle, or is it kind of like a drop off? Once they drop off and everything's delivered, then they get paid? How does that system work
Good
for the
question.
dealership?
So when you get a load, sometimes they're going to call it COP, which means check on pickup, cash on pickup. And we'll know that when we get the load. And we'll also remind the driver that he's picking up money on pickup. It doesn't happen very often. It's usually on delivery, and sometimes it's, billing on delivery. Well, when you get your load sheet, it tells you all those specifics. If it's going to be COD, if it's going to be a check, if it's going to be cash. And just so everybody knows, if you're delivering to a dealership, you're almost always going to get a check. You're never going to get cash at the dealership because they're always going to go write the check, or they're going to do a billing. Um, and the same thing with on pickup at a dealership. It's few and far between you're going to get a check on pickup unless it's a personal deal, and I have for that, and that's the only time.
But would you say that? I mean, a good percentage of dealer pickup and deliveries are check.
You mean like COD or
Yeah, COP,
no?
COD. No.
I think they've gotten away from most of that, and the reason being is they have an accounting department. They got to go get the check ready. They got to have 3 people sign it. That's why.
No
It's very few
kidding.
and far
Yeah,
between.
it's
Yeah.
a hassle. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So it's usually almost a billing, a quick pay, something to that effect, just because of that.
I just want to say this too. You can see it in the way I talk. I keep jumping in. Life is so full of these micro logistics that nothing is easy. Just picking up a check can take 3 people and an hour and all this stuff. So every time you add something to what needs to be done, you're adding the potential for something to go wrong.
Well, and that's why if it's supposed to be a check on delivery and they're calling the delivery, they're supposed to be calling to make sure it's there ready to go. And if there's a problem, then they let us know and then we call and get it straightened out.
Do you have to intervene like occasionally, or is that like often where you're like, hey, like my driver needs to get paid, like let's go, what's going
Uh,
on?
yeah, we have. I mean, I want to say it happens more or less at residence deliveries than it does anywhere else, because they think they've always paid the broker and not to pay us, and it's usually they paid the broker a broker fee, but they're supposed to pay us COD at delivery. Now, like I had one happen a couple weeks ago. They were requesting that we collect a broker fee of $50 at delivery, and the lady said, I'm not paying that. I've already paid them a broker fee. Here's my contract. This is what it says. I'm supposed to pay you $350 at delivery. And I said, and I already knew this lady had problems with this broker because she'd already talked to me about it extensively. So I wasn't surprised that she didn't know about the broker fee. It was one of those deals where she said they told me a certain price, and then they called me yesterday and said they wanted to add an extra $200 to the rate, and I told them no. And I said, well, I knew what the broker was, and I said, this happens with this broker a lot. I apologize. I'm not with them. I'm the transporter. And this is what we're set up for, and blah, 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 blah. And then they decided add an extra 50 after the fact. And then she got ticked off, which I don't blame her. She'd already paid him something like $200 when she signed up to do the car. So they were just trying to get more money out of her after the fact. So it does happen. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like he was dropping at 7 o'clock at night that night, and the broker wouldn't answer the phone. And I'll be honest, the broker's still not answered the phone. It's been 2 weeks. So I guess they're not worried about their $50, or they realized they weren't going to get the $50. And that's what you'll have happen at night when your driver's doing something late. Is it's very hard to get a hold of a broker unless you've texted them for the load, and then they answer.
Wow. So then you just kind of let that go. Like, let's say they eventually remember and they come back in like a week or so. And they ask,
I didn't collect it, and they should have answered the phone if they wanted me to collect the extra broker fee. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah,
I don't like shady companies, and I consider that shady, so I ain't too worried about it.
The broker fee stuff. Once you it's one of the many things that as you learn about, it's very strange and can be hard to navigate until you're used to. Some things are just, tough luck.
Well, see, and here's, I mean, broker fees, my broker fees come at the end when they drop. They send me back my $50. But most brokers don't do it like that. They take X amount of money when they talk to that customer, and it could be anywhere from $100 to $400. We don't usually know. They're supposed to let us know, right, Jay? In that part of the law or something like that.
Well,
anyways, or it's coming that way. I don't know.
You got to go to their office and investigate it, and then maybe they cough it up.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's
so. What I have happen is a lot of drivers don't understand the broker fee system that they're going to collect, and so you have to explain that to a lot of new drivers in the beginning, how it works and what it's going to be, how it's going to be done. I don't usually have a problem with it. I do have some drivers that do not want to pay a broker fee, so they won't take a load like that. And what you'll have happen is you'll have some brokers out there that do not tell you there's a broker fee up front.
And then
you get the load.
That's what I was gonna say.
Or they change it 2 days later when you're getting ready to deliver.
Oh.
When they do that, I personally think they're shit out of luck.
Right. The fact that you can change a dispatch sheet in midstream is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But so really where we're at, because I think the sticker shock really hit me when I had a driver picking up. It was a good paying load, picking up a truck. Okay, and I think it might be COP. I don't remember the type of payment. I just remember that it was a good paying truck. Let's say it was paying $800.
Right. And
when he picks it up, somehow he sees the bill, which is $1,500.
Yeah.
And the driver's like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
What? $1,500? Who's paying $1,500 to move this?"
Right.
And I said, I don't know, man. And he goes, "What are we getting paid?" I said, $800. It's like,
wow.
But they're paying $1,500. I'm only getting $800, and that's when I realized, oh my God, this is a wild game.
Yeah. It's
and
what
I
they
talked
can get
to the
away
broker.
with.
I talked to the broker, and he said, "Hey, what are you mad about?"
Yeah.
I said,
what I'm making.
I said, if you guys are that good at sales, can you keep it from the driver so he doesn't know?
Yeah.
Please?
Yeah. I've had stuff like that happen too, where the driver was getting paid $350 and the broker was taking $450. Crazy stuff like that. Yeah.
And what do you say to the driver once they realize that they're getting the lesser end of the stick? You just kind of tell them to suck it up and
tell them it's time for
it
a
is what
beer,
it
and
is.
we're gonna look at we're
Go
gonna
have a
make
beer.
shapes out of clouds. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing you can do. Nothing.
Wow.
That is the business.
or we don't haul for them again either, after something like that happens. And just keep in mind, it doesn't happen with all brokers, and it may not happen even with that broker all the time. It's what you can get away with. I hate to say it like that. If you call a customer up and you tell them it's going to be $1,500 and you put it on the board and got it done for $8, you're like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? You're not thinking about that transporter getting screwed. You're thinking, I just made $900 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Oh no, $7. But either way, you said $1,500, right? $700.
Yeah,
$700 is a huge broker fee.
And this is really when you begin to understand. This is really how the world works.
Yeah. It is how the world works.
Every industry. We want to say Wall Street, but It's everything.
Yeah.
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 So, you know, I just be happy. I think I said to my driver, "Hey, listen, man, it is a good paying truck."
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, but," and I said, "You got to stop thinking about that."
Right.
And that teaches us. That's why we always ask for more money, because there probably is more.
Mm-hmm.
And just get what you think you're worth.
You need. Right.
Yeah. And just, you can't worry about, because you can't worry about the other guy everywhere we go.
Right.
Right?
Well,
Just can't do it.
That'd be like knowing that our chicken nuggets cost a penny and we're paying $5 for them, kind of, right?
Or that it's not real chicken.
We're talking chicken nuggets again.
but we're still going to pay for it either way. So
there you go. It's recession time. So.
Nuggets are different.
we all got to eat.
Right? Let's say somebody's hungry.
I haven't had lunch yet.
I heard that there's a new chicken nuggets and sauce at Wendy's.
Really?
Something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a chicken nugget McDonald's girl, so I don't know what to tell you.
I saw, we'll wrap up dealership. I saw parking in the live chat. Parking is a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a dealership checklist, where do I park?
Yeah.
Is in the top 5.
You would think after all these years, they would have a section just for these big rigs coming in there. Build it like you mean it. You know what I mean?
I've talked about it and it. It makes no sense how you didn't figure out how you're going to get inventory every day.
Yes, exactly.
That makes no sense.
With 10-car haulers
but
coming
my
in.
guess is there was a place for inventory and they filled that with cars because everybody focuses on sales.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're right.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. In marketing, they call that, they have a term. Okay. Always know your VIN. Don't call a dealership without your VIN number.
Right.
Don't do that.
Won't do any good. They can't answer any questions.
They don't like that. And so that means if the broker give you the dispatch and the VIN number's not on it, call the broker. Get the VIN number.
And keep this in mind too. If you're transferring stuff to an EBOL system like Super Dispatch and they've put that VIN number in the wrong spot, it will not transfer over. So make sure you look at your paperwork and put it on on Super Dispatch or whatever EBOL system you're using.
It's a good point. And it may not mean much, like you could be thinking, what? But you've got, as you look at your dispatch in the electronic layout, there's notes, there's VIN, right? Just make sure the VIN number's in the right cell.
Yep.
On that electronic layout.
Yeah. Because for some reason, a lot of people, if they don't have the full VIN on Central, they'll put it in, where is it? Usually they put it in a weird spot on the load sheet. So it does not transfer over at all. And that means the notes that they usually write beside it will not transfer over at all either. So you got to really make sure whatever is on that paperwork ends up on your EBOL system for your driver.
VIN number, parking. Always call ahead. If you're in dispatch, call ahead on every car you got.
Yes.
Never. The one you don't call is the one that's going to go crazy.
Yep. And then you're going to be scrambling to find a replacement car.
I've had cars I thought for sure.
Yep.
Nope, that was the mess.
Yep.
And so, yep. New car sales manager, used car sales manager, that kind of stuff. And this is porter.
Yes.
Say this. This is where I learned what a porter was.
Yep.
Because they'll say, well, what do they say?
Sometimes they've told me you can only talk to the porter.
Yeah,
and
talk to the
pick up from the porter. And the porters are usually only there from like 8 to 4.
Sue, what's a porter?
And they go pick up the car and bring it up there to you.
Okay, but they work for the dealership.
Yep.
They're kind of like a car puller at an auction.
Yep. They clean the cars. They get them ready for sale.
Right.
The whole works.
And they are low man on the totem pole.
Yep.
But this guy is the key to your universe suddenly.
Yep.
How do I get hold of the porter? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's out in the lot right now. All right. What's his name? Jerry. All right, Jerry the porter. All right, cool. What are the hours? What's the address? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, bye. So that is interesting. So names, parking. Okay, so money, we don't have to worry about that as much now. Because it used to be a big deal.
Right.
Is the check ready?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. All right. And yes, night drop on the keys. This is one, as you'll have a carrier that is hooked on night drops.
Mm-hmm.
That should be a song
Yes,
by
I
Lil
agree.
Wayne. Hooked on night drops. Okay? Because, like, can I night drop? Can I night drop? Can I night drop? They want to night drop everything. No,
Right.
man, you can't
No.
night drop everything. But in the event that we can night drop at this dealer, you have to know the process, and you have to
Yep.
write it down for them. You have
Yep.
to know where the keys go, right? What else could happen
Exactly.
in a night drop?
Well, and I'm going to tell you, I don't like night drops because anything can happen to that car after you've dropped it, and you're still responsible for it. So unless it's an emergency or it has to be done, don't do it. I don't know how many times the car's been backed into. Guess who's responsible? That's us. Whoever dropped that car, if it got stolen, anything, it's on you. Now, when you're calling and they say it's okay, they're going to tell you where to park it. They usually tell you to park it by the service bay and put the keys in the box, or they'll have some other way to drop it. I've had them tell us to hide the keys in the tailpipe before. So just make sure they're okay with it, and not just they are okay with it. Your broker is okay with it. If your broker says on there no STIs, that means no night drops, no delivery without a
Good
signature.
point.
And there's certain brokers that will tell you that every single time. There's certain loads, like Metro has certain loads. When they send it over, it says no STI on it. That means don't do it. You will not get paid. And that's usually the rule. You will not get paid. So don't do it unless you absolutely have to. Now, if it's like I'll have my guys do it if we're trying to get someplace and keep on moving down the road and he's just going to be there a few minutes afterwards, we'll do that stuff. I've picked up cars where they've left keys out for us at dealerships and they were closed before. Same thing. You're going to still do the bill of lading. You're still going to take all the pictures, and we'll get an email for that person always, and that gets sent to them for the signature.
Sue, I want to jump in for a second because you
Sure.
just brought, now this is advanced, is that you have to know who you're working for.
Yep.
If the broker posted the load and and you're talking to the dealer says, drop it anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And the broker says, no
Well,
way. What
yeah.
do you do?
We were supposed to
Don't do
deliver this. Sorry, this is
Don't
Mark
do
now.
it.
Don't do it. You
We
won't
were
get
supposed to
paid.
deliver my Jeep Grand
Because the
Cherokee
broker's
2
paying
days
you,
ago,
not the dealer.
and
Right.
I need to know
Yeah.
where it's at.
Exactly.
So you have to know who you're working for.
Yep,
Yeah.
you do. And there are rules and regulations for
And-
every broker
and-
out there. So.
And here's the thing: if you don't
Okay,
want to
so
do,
you're
you
on
don't
your
want
way
to do a
to-
night
so
drop,
haven't done-
anyways. So even though the guy at the dealership
Okay,
said
all
it,
right,
you can
thank you.
now you have to convince because the carrier might have
All right.
called. Well, the
Right.
guy at the dealership said I can
Oh, it's on my
drop
Jeep.
it. Now you have to talk to your carrier. Listen, the broker doesn't want you to do it, and the broker's going to pay you.
Right.
I also don't want you to do it.
Yeah.
Now, I can't tell you what to do, but I don't think you should. And
Right.
you don't need to. Go into the schedule. Listen, we're
Right.
fine.
I mean, if it isn't helping you accomplish anything, there's no reason to do it. But you're right. There's a lot of drivers that just want to do it and get out of there, but I don't recommend it. I really don't.
And then what about, can I ask about like the pickup times?
So, you got
I know,
stuff over
like,
the
with
weekend
that-
in Miami.
I did,
They're in
we,
Delaware
had
now. They're-
time on there, it was different on the website than what the lady had told me. So what do we do in that situation where it's like it closes earlier than what they told
Absolutely.
me, and then
All right.
the transporter gets there and it's already closed?
Just
So
like
you're talking
what
about like
you said.
Odessa when we were talking about today?
Yes, ma'am.
So Dani verified a car that it was at Odessa Clayton, and they
I'm
told her
sorry.
they closed at 3. I said that wasn't right. I knew it wasn't right. So I went to the website, and it said they closed at 4.
Oh.
They really closed at 4.
All right,
The
good.
problem is you have some people that don't pay attention. But if you weren't sure, like if I hadn't said to you, I know they close at 4,
Okay.
because I just know the
All right.
I would have said, call back, talk to a different person, and verify those hours, and then say to them too, well, per your website, it says you're open till 4, and I guarantee you it would change. They're going to tell you, okay, we screwed up. We really close at 4. And that's what I was talking about on the dealership too, is like them saying it closes at a certain
That's what
time.
I'm
It really
talking.
closes at 8. You can always go back and verify this stuff.
Oh,
And that's why I will always
Is that
go
a
ahead of
Friday
time and look up
also?
and say it closed at 8 on that dealership. When I called him, I already knew
All
it.
right, give me a second.
And when
I'll
he
get
said,
that.
well, I leave at
Okay.
4, I'm like, I already knew they closed at 8. So I just said, is there anybody else that could do it later and how later is a dealership open, and that's when he told me it was 8. So I do a little bit of background work before I even make those phone calls, just because I'm just used to doing it, and I want to have something to say back to them in case they tell me a different time than what it is, if that makes sense.
Yes. So always verify first, and then.
Yeah, well, no, you can pull it up. Like when you were calling it us, especially since you're new and you're testing all of this stuff basically. Pretend I'm not always there to help you. So, like if you were calling Odessa and you were wanting to make sure you pull up the Odessa Charlotte website, it tells you the hours. It'll tell you the hours for inside the business office, and it tells you hours for pickup. And that's how you can look and say, so when she was sitting there telling you that, if you'd come back and say, well, I'm on your website and it says we can pick up cars till
I
4.
don't think I have
Is your
one.
website incorrect?
What
I mean, you
was the
say it
stop
nice,
number again?
but you call them out on it to make sure what is right.
Okay, hang on.
And usually they're going to either say they screwed up, haven't changed the website,
Jeez.
or they're going to say we screwed up. It really is at 4 o'clock. I was looking at the wrong day or something like that. You know what I mean?
This goes back into, if you can say, you can say, well, your website says, or well, your website says, and the
Right.
way it's a totally different.
Yes.
The worse the information, the more calm you say it.
Because you know you're digging in right then.
Right, it's bad.
So.
I think that's about all the questions I had so far.
That was really good.
Yes.
You asked some really good questions.
Yeah.
I could tell you're really thinking about it, and that is step 1 in dispatching.
Question.
And then step 2 is to pick up the phone and just get used to following your scripts. You know, in the back, I still have some of the early pieces of paper. What I would, in my first week, when I would call, I would write down the cars. I think it was making everybody around me crazy, but I'd write down the car and the pickup, and so that when I called, I knew what the heck I was talking about. Because when you call, you gotta know to a certain degree what it is that you're talking about and what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
And
We
I
should
don't
that
do,
sometime.
you know, I don't spend a lot of time on the niceties because I just think most businesses are really busy.
Yeah.
And you're lucky to get them on the phone.
Yeah.
And
Get 'em on
that's
the phone,
where
yeah.
know the things you want to ask. Circle those things you want to ask. Check the price, check the pickup and delivery, right? You have to check everything. But there is a lot to hauling cars for dealerships. And really, you know, we didn't even talk about you picking up at an auction. Man, we could do a whole show on that. Picking up at an auction. Sometimes these cars are brand new cars.
Right.
Sometimes a new car hauler with a 3-car wedge hauling used cars for a living gets sent to a railhead to pick up a brand new car, and you got to have the AIAG vehicle inspection splat sheets, and you're like, what is going on? No zippers on the jackets,
Yep.
bay numbers. It's like, whoa, what is happening?
Always an app.
So there is a lot of different locations to learn about too, and that's where, I don't know, that takes out some carriers on claims, or I don't know. But I don't know if the OEMs, let's just talk about this for a second. I don't know if OEMs realize sometimes who picked up and moved that single leftover unit from that railhead.
Right.
I don't know. I think they just hope for the best. I'm not sure. But all right. Well, that was really great.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Danny.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank
Danny
you.
gets an applause. Yeah. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, guys.
All right, cool. Well then, Danny, I'll put you back in the waiting room, and we'll wrap out the show. Thank you so much, Danny.
Thank you so
Danny.
much.
Appreciate it. Bye.
All right, cool. That was really neat. You know what it made me think is that that's a nice format,
Mhm.
right? I think we've talked about that. We've probably done it at times, but we should, yeah,
Yeah. I agree.
we should do that more. That was really, it was great. That was like 30 minutes of solid questions and back and forth. It was really good.
Yeah, we could do that again with a
They're picking up in
different,
an hour and that
like
way
Copart IA or
Yeah,
pickup.
exactly. I
You
know.
know.
Oh man,
But she's
I-
learning all of
Okay.
this stuff as we do it, so she's got
Right.
good questions
and
for
there
us.
is
So.
so
Okay, cool.
much to learn.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
is nuts how much there is to learn. Gary's talking about worked for Pasadena Dodge in Houston back in the 70s as a porter. He worked in the shop changing oil, gassing up cars, washing cars, whatever they wanted. So he's like a production assistant. Hollywood has production assistants. Dealerships have porters. Details, details, details. Make sure everyone is on the same page. Thank you, Gary. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And so James, and hello, Andre. James is, I think, looking for some advice and information. James, what you should do is, I know Sue's as busy as I am, which is, man. But, send her an email, give her time to respond, keep tuning into ATI live show. I know there's also so much time on, in life and on the horizon, but we want to try to help you get up to speed. And I think that James is kind of available to do some work, I think. So
He wants to be a dispatcher. Is that what I'm
I
reading?
believe so.
Okay. Yeah, contact me, James. That's what I do. I hire people to dispatch under my company.
Yeah, send her an email. And I think that's about it. So what are we doing? Do we have a show next week?
As far as I know.
Now, Dan and Chris in the past, and Dan recently, they want to do an equipment show. Oh, check this out. Okay. So I was going to do no show next Thursday. It's 4th of July.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Um,
We want to watch this on 4th of July. Anyway, we're just going to be barbecuing.
yeah, I mean, there's no need. Yeah. So what we'll do is we'll skip the 4th of July. July 11th, I think we're going to have the parts girl, Kaylee Filio. She has a show called The Parts Girl.
Okay.
She has a company called Parts Edge, and she works in fixed ops, which is dealership service stuff. So coming on the heels of our dealer show, this will be good.
Okay.
She works
cool.
in fixed ops. Kaylee Filio, July 11th. And then July 18th, I talked about having James on as a guest.
Okay.
And I also am looking at, it'd be kind of cool if we could get to our top 20 load boards and new carrier wait times, which brings us back around to, we've been talking about these wait times, we've been talking about load boards, and I haven't had any luck getting a hold of Carpool Logistics. Have you?
No.
I'm trying.
No,
Why
Janice
would
has
that
sent
be?
a couple emails.
I don't understand why it's so hard to get information about load boards. Isn't that weird?
You would think.
Is it? I don't get it. All right, that's fine. I'm still trying to get a hold of 123 load board. I wanted to learn more about Magnus Technologies. Anything from Circle Logistics?
No, nothing yet.
What is... Okay. All right, well, that's fine. Well, what we'll do is we'll still do the top 20 load boards, even though we haven't talked to... I mean, can you see... Are you able to see Circle Logistics load board?
They don't really have
They don't have one.
a load board. They
All
have
right.
a list they send out.
Okay.
So that's their difference.
All right, well, that puts them at number 20. Does Carpool Logistics have a load board?
Yeah, we went on it the other day when we were on the show.
Okay. But didn't you have to get through My Carrier Packet?
You have to be associated with them.
So you
can't
did. You
just-
got through My Carrier Packet?
Yeah.
All right. We still want...
I did. That was a different thing, but we went.
Okay.
A couple of my other drivers are already signed up with Carl.
Okay, good. I want to see it. Can I see it?
Yeah. Let me get on.
Wow. Unbelievable. I'm going to see Carpool Logistics load board. All right, Jay, why the chip on your shoulder, Jay? Because when a broker really needs you to move a load, they will call and call and call. So
Right,
why is it so hard to look at the load board? All
This
right.
is their load board.
Oh,
right
okay.
here. These are the loads we've done. Let me get into the actual load board itself.
And I've seen so many load boards. Now I try to figure out what technology they're using.
So this is their load board,
Okay.
and I don't think there's.
Do you know how many loads they got?
Well, let's see. Does it show me amount at the top? No.
And I'm gonna look up. We have a top. What do we have? Top 15 load boards. Is that what we're
Yeah.
at?
I don't know how many is on here. It doesn't really say. I mean, it's just a page, so.
Well, it's a load board, though.
Yeah, it's a
I mean,
load
they're
board.
in the arena.
Yeah.
Janice. And I mean, it's not. It's not a competition. It's just that, carriers want to know, where do I go to stay loaded?
And see over here, it tells you, like, I don't know if you guys can see this. It says, like, this is an in-op, no keys, rollback needed. That's kind of cool.
Ooh, that is cool. Well, that's another thing about doing said competition is we get to learn also about
how their board works and everything.
what we want to see. Okay, so I've got, here we go. I put carpool logistics at number 11. How many loads do we know?
I don't know. It doesn't really say. I mean, I'm going to guess and say 100. I don't know.
Okay.
Kind of hard to read.
All right, so let's do this. You want to play? Want to do? Whatever.
I mean, I'd have to count all of them.
All right. Can you see? I'm going to take the screen.
Okay.
Because we're gonna wrap this up in a minute. All right. This is what I've got right now. Here's our top 10. Who's number 11? Carpool, carried away, auto hauler. Cars arrive.
Wow. Good question.
I'm gonna go with auto hauler.
Well, how many did they have on their board?
I don't know. Can you see?
Well, maybe
it?
that's what we got to do. Is we got to go through this again and look how many loads.
We do,
are on.
but I'm gonna bump them up because I bet they bump up again. Do we know how many carried away had? I mean, I guess.
No, I will tell you, RPM probably has more than all of those people.
Is that
but
right?
We can't access their load board.
But you can't see. So you can't access the RPM load board.
No, I'm still not able to access it. I'm still waiting for them to figure it out, even though they have my cert.
So they're gonna. Are they getting back to you?
No. I've sent email after email to.
Well, guess what? Now I know a couple people over there.
Truck stop or RPM? I'm waiting for truck stop.
No, I really do want to talk to RPM. Yeah.
Here's another thing people need to know about. Like I'm signing up with Run Buggy, and for some reason my guy's social doesn't match or something, so they're asking us to send in our actual social security card, which I thought was a little.
Oh no.
Yeah, I mean it is through a secure website.
I understand.
But it was a little, yeah. I don't.
But I mean, I'm trying to look at it from their point of view. They're trying to figure out what's
verify
going
that
on.
who you are.
This is tough.
Yeah. So, but I mean, well, like I said, it's through a secure website. You have to click a button. You have to click this, click that. I get that part of it. It's just kind of, it's a little much sometimes when they ask for stuff like that.
Does TQL have a load board?
I don't think so.
Does UShip have a load board?
Well, I mean, okay, so technically UShip is UShip, as we all know, like
so
the big UShip.
I'll put them at 18.
But UShip is they don't do it like that. UShip lists their loads.
It's not a load board.
On Super Dispatch and Central. So don't get me wrong, there's still something to do with UShip, but not that way. They're totally separate as far as a brokerage and a UShip load board that everybody knows of and has heard of. Not the same thing as far as getting a load from them.
You said Wholesale Express doesn't have a load board.
No, they don't.
Let's see here. Hey, live chat. We're gonna let you go here in a minute. Are we missing any load boards? Carpool has 90 listed right now. Oh, interesting.
Okay, cool.
That's good to know. Well, that was another thing is that because we started putting in
I have Dee Dee. Dee Dee's asked me about Interlink Logistics, but my problem with them is most of their stuff was up in Chicago area and it was too cheap, so I really haven't dealt with them in a long, long time.
All right. Well, we are approaching top 20 load boards.
Okay.
That's the next goal. And again, the reason is like Accelerated Services. Do they have a load board?
No. And technically, I mean, U-Ship does not have a load board.
Yeah,
Not like the way we
I
think
guess
it is.
U-Ship comes off.
Yeah.
Encircle Logistics doesn't have a load board.
No, they have lists that they send out.
But if you have an email list of loads,
Yeah.
isn't the next step load board?
I
mean,
would,
you know
maybe,
what I mean?
yeah.
Just some web. Don't you know somebody that can do a web interface? I know, Jay.
Well, and see, I don't know if TQL has one either.
But they seem like a big
They have a
enough
list
company
as far as
where
I know.
I would, you go from physical phone book to digital phone book.
And honestly, I wish wholesale would send us out a daily list in the emails. I
Well,
mean, really. if
Shouldn't
they're
they
not gonna
have a
load
digital
board.
phone book list? How many loads are we talking about?
Wholesale?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
1,000?
mean, they pay well, and there's always loads for them on the board, but
Huh.
it's just
Do we
hard to
know
get
any
signed up with them.
programmers we can send them?
Probably.
All right. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying. I mean, doesn't that make more sense?
Well, the way this industry is going, yes.
I mean,
mean-
let's say you're calling about a load in an email. How do you book it?
Send them an email back and ask them for the load.
How do they send you the load?
They have a deal. Once they send you the load, you click, you accept, and then they send you the actual load.
Through
So it's kind of their way of
through where?
authorizing, making sure you say who you are. kind of
Where
thing.
do they send via what? Like the
Email.
They
Email.
email you the load, and
Yeah,
what it's
they
an
email
email.
you- They email you the acceptance of yes or no. You have to accept within 2 hours,
remember
otherwise they
this.
pull the
Okay.
load from you.
But then once they send you the load, do they fax you?
No, email you back the actual load rate confirmation.
Can you import that into your digital bill of lading?
Yes,
Oh, you can.
yes.
So
they are one
Super
of the few.
programmed it.
Yeah,
Okay, so only by importing it into Super did it fully become digital.
correct. Right, there you
Okay,
go.
sounds
Yeah.
really efficient. Okay,
I'm waiting for them to put them
I'm
on
just-
Super.
man, I'm not saying anything somebody hasn't already said. I just would, in the digital age in 2024, although, hey, you know what? The upside is, by doing faxes, it's harder to hack. So, fax away. All right, that's the show. It's 1:33. Sue, thank you for so much time. Danny, thank you for joining us. Live chat, thanks for saying hello and checking in. Ooh, Gary sent me an email. I can't wait. I love seeing you guys in the live chat. It means a lot. I know Elena said she enjoys the show. Well, Elena, we enjoy you being here with us.
Yes.
All right, it means a lot. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for leaving a like. Thank you for telling your friends. I'm glad that there's now like 12 of us that know about this show.
13.
13, yeah, we'll take it. All right. All right, what do we say, office?
Goodbye,
Goodbye,
Sue.
Goodbye, Sue. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, see you
All right,
guys.
take care. Bye.